What's up, everyone, and welcome to Team Amasian's review of Ant-Man. It's going to be full of spoilers because we want to spoil the shit out of it. So if you have not seen Ant-Man and you do not want to know what happened, bookmark this and come back later. Yes. I am Kaori Takee, half Team Amasian, and the other half right here, and Campea.
Hey, everybody, what's up?
So we're very excited to be talking about this movie that's been highly anticipated for a very, very long time. It's obviously not Marvel's, most popular superhero. And Anne is so excited that she's disappearing from the video, but she's coming back.
We're coming back with Ant-Man to join
Ant-Man.
us. Okay.
Actual size. Paul Rudd's hanging out with us. But yes, and let's go over some of our positives and our negatives, and let's start with our positives. So, Anne, take it away.
Ooh, okay. So I absolutely love this movie. And for those of you, to clue you guys in, Kaori and I haven't even had a chance to share our thoughts with each other. So this is going to be all new for both of us. I love the movie. I need to see it a second time to figure out where it falls in my top Marvel origin story movies. Right now, I'm thinking it's right after Thor, and Thor is number 1. So this has quickly become my number 2. I love it for many reasons. Number 1 being Paul Rudd. I think he did a fabulous job as the new Ant-Man.
Best Ant-Man ever.
Yeah. He gave a lot of heart into the character, and he portrayed a very good version, human version of Scott Lang, because in the comics, Scott, in one version is, a drunk who beats women. So that's not the version we wanted to see in a film.
I'm glad we did.
I think they did. I think they created a very good version of Scott. Somebody with motivation to do what he did and to make the decisions that he made. Obviously, he's got the cutest little girl I think that I've seen in any of. I don't know that we've seen any kids, but she was so adorable, and that rightfully was his motivation. It made the story very human. Yeah. For me. And so Paul Rudd did such a good job of that. We have an A-list actor in Michael Douglas.
Very surprised with him. I mean, so I work for a TV show and we do all this gossip stuff, and there's so much gossip of him. I got really tired of him that I always forget how good of an actor he is. And I saw this movie, I'm like,
there it is again.
There it is.
Yeah, just a good reminder of that. Michael Douglas on camera is just spectacular. I have no complaints about his portrayal of Hank Pym. I thought the first scene where they kind of CGI to make him look younger.
Yeah, that's
and in
cool.
that scene with Peggy Carter and with Tony Stark's dad.
Yeah.
Very, very cool stuff. I thought
that.
There was just nothing that made me think this is fake. They did such a good job making him look younger. So Michael Douglas. Another positive. Evangeline Lilly.
I love her. I've loved her since
she was
The
so
Lost.
great in this too. And I'm just going to go through the cast because I think they cast this movie so well.
Okay, I'll go with you.
She's badass, but she also obviously had some heart, and the connection that she had with Michael Douglas as her dad was really cool.
Yes, and can we talk about the second end credit scene?
Yeah.
Because she gets a suit.
Yes.
And it means that we're going to have Evangeline Lilly be a badass.
Yes.
And I love that. I'm not familiar with, comic book lore, so do you know anything about her character?
Well, I don't know if she exists, but I think she is going to take the helm of what her mother was, which is the Wasp.
Oh, you're the Wasp. Okay.
So, in versions of the Avengers, actually, Ant-Man and Wasp were some of the original Avengers.
Oh.
So it's kind of cool to see, and have that revealed that her mother was actually a badass superhero at some point, and they were together with Hank were, just kind of this really awesome duo as a couple, and you don't really see that. And so there is also hope. And tell me if you got this as well from the film, that mom might still be alive.
No, I didn't get that, but I don't know. I mean, and now that makes complete sense because I saw an IGN article where Michael Douglas and Evangeline Lilly talk about the future of the Wasp. So I was like, now you said that, I'm like, oh, that's pretty cool.
Well, they definitely there's definitely a possibility that she could still be alive, considering, that whole idea of if you shrink too much, you get trapped in this infinite space of time and blah, blah, blah. Yeah, and Paul almost got trapped in there too. there's definitely a chance. And so Hank Pym spends his whole life trying to figure out how he can get in there and save her. And so there's definitely a chance he's still alive, which would be kind of cool too. But yes, Evangeline Lilly, the end credit scene where she gets a suit, I'm like, yes.
I love how the suit had like boobs, you know.
Yes, she's gonna look so badass.
She's gonna look so great. She's like, I love her so much every time I see her in something, because she's got such a great body, and she like works out.
Yes.
And she's thin, but she works out. Like if she was like Wonder Woman, not thin and like backbony spine.
Yes,
I believe
there.
it.
I totally agree. I would say also that Michael Pena did such a great job as a supporting character. I thought he kind of infused a lot of the comedy that I actually expected from Paul Rudd. I think he was funnier than Paul Rudd, and obviously this is not meant to be a straight up comedy, but I think that the way that they wrote his character was hilarious to me.
Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna say though, I think that Paul Rudd does tend to have those, whenever he's in a comedic role, which is quite often, he does have that kind of dry humor. He takes that role all the time where he's funny, but it's dry.
Yeah.
Like he never has that kind of Michael Pena, like just out of control character.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. That's a good point. So different types of comedy, not straight up comedy, Ant-Man, but I thought it was a very different film for Marvel, but a really good one. So
yeah, and then Bobby Cannavale did a really good job being the dick. Oh my god, he was a dick, right? That's his name? Yeah. Some of my positives. I mean, I agree with everything that you said. I think the story was just perfectly paced, and I think it went by really fast. Because there's sometimes when you, even a superhero movie, you're like, okay, what time is it?
Well, for me, Captain America being one of them.
The first one?
Yeah.
Oh my god, that one was a snoozer.
Yeah.
But they made up for it because Captain America 2 was amazing.
There you go.
But I thought it was really well paced. I think it was just they put all the elements necessary to get us enticed. They had us like, as someone who doesn't read comic books, get to know who the Ant-Man is. You know, they got us engaged in him, made me fall in love with him, and even Hank Pym. You know, and then to understand like the value behind it. And I love all the references to connect the Marvel universe together. You know, Hydra and then the agents, and everything. It was awesome. Yeah. And I think that they just did such a good job, and I'm so glad that they decided to create this movie, because I think that Ant-Man could be one of my favorite Marvel superheroes.
Yay,
along with Thor, because Thor's just hilarious. But because there's something very human about Ant-Man.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, you relate to him off the bat. I mean, I get it. Captain America, you relate in the beginning because he's frail and he just wants to be strong. But then he just becomes, like, super heroically strong. You're like,
Yeah, then it's unrelatable now.
Yeah. And where Paul Rudd is, I'm wearing a suit, but I'm screaming while I'm in the suit. You know, I'm doing what I do best, is be a robber and not a burglar, or vice versa. I forget how he distinguishes it. So it really captures you.
Yeah.
You're like, I can be friends with someone like that and it would be believable.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, that's definitely, I thought, and Paul Rudd, kudos to him for being able to do that. And the fact that you bring up that's like it's a heist movie, it's a comedy.
Yeah.
Very different than anything that I think Marvel's done.
Good point. It's like a heist movie.
And I think that kind of plays into the fact that you enjoyed the pacing, because when you have a heist movie and it's an interesting story, like the pacing has to be pretty much on point for you to stay engaged the whole time. I did want to also say Falcon. What did you think of having the Falcon make a cameo?
I thought that was cool, because it just ties everything together, and it's cool that it wasn't necessarily like, you know, the top 5 Avengers or whatever.
Yeah,
you know,
true.
It was like Falcon. It's like, and I feel like he can relate to Ant-Man for some reason. I don't know why, but underdog maybe.
Yeah,
maybe?
I agree.
And then like the Captain America cameo, I got a little confused with that moment.
For the end credit?
Yeah, the end credit, like, okay. But that's just me thinking I want to see it again. What did you think of that part?
I love both end credit scenes. I thought they were the best end credit scenes we've seen in a long time.
And thank you for making suggesting to me, as well as our viewers in our previous video, to stay through for 2 videos, because I wouldn't have.
Yeah.
So thank you.
Oh, you're welcome.
Yeah.
You're welcome. I hope you guys caught the last 2 scenes, one with Evangeline getting her suit, and then one with Winter Soldier showing up like, hey, what's up, you know?
Yeah.
So I also have to go back and just remember how that storyline
That's what I'm
tied
saying. I
up.
was like, wait, what? Oh, okay.
But it's definitely setting us up for the next phase of the Marvel movies with Civil War. So that's going to be really cool. And yeah, I enjoyed it. I thought it was a perfect way to kind of end this first phase.
Yep.
And then push us through
into
the second.
Does this mark the end of
Yes.
phase one? Wow,
Yeah.
that's crazy. 'Cause
Yeah.
we've been like just waiting for all these things, and all of a sudden, like we just got attacked.
Yeah.
In a very good way.
Yeah.
All right. Well, with all positives always comes some negatives. That's really hard for me to think of any negatives right now. Do you want to go first?
I was trying to figure them out on the way here, and so
It's hard.
and this is a stretch, but I would say for a villain, Yellow Jacket was a little bit weak to me when you compare him to somebody like a Loki, you know, and that's unfair because, you know, we have so many great villains throughout the whole universe. I think part of the reason why, and this may not even end up being a negative, is that Darren Cross, he is motivated by the fact that I think Hank Pym, you know, decides
to abandon him, whatever?
To abandon him,
yeah.
You know, and it's just, again, it's a human story that we could realistically see happen to anybody. And so for me, the motivation is a little weak. And again, that might not be a large negative, but maybe it's because it's so human that it makes the motivation a little weaker. Whereas Loki, you know, like he finds out, oh my gosh, I was the son of a frost giant, you know, and they've been hiding this my whole life. And now I'm really angry, you know, at my dad or who I thought was my dad and all this stuff.
White Walker.
No, yeah. So again, it's like, I don't really know if this really falls in my negatives, but I think when you compare Darren and as Yellow Jacket compared to everyone else, he's kind of whiny, and he's kind of the motivation's really not there for me as a villain. Okay.
This is going to be really nitpicky because I'm trying to think of one, but the first thing that comes to mind, and this did really bother me, is during the trailers, every single trailer, no matter what rendition of the trailer you're watching, has that choo-choo train scene.
Yeah.
Where the choo-choo train almost hits the Yellow Jacket and instead it destroys the choo-choo train. So that's like one of the funniest scenes ever. And they use that in the trailer. So you see that about 10 times before you get into the movie, and you see this movie, and you see that coming, and the laughter's gone.
Yeah.
That's probably my biggest gripe, because I thought about, like, that would have been hilarious if I saw this in the theater for the first time, and I wish that they didn't do that, because it would have been one of those things like, oh, Ann, there's a scene. Yeah. I'm not going to say anything, but they're fighting in the kids' room. It's great, you know? Like.
No, that's a great example. And I wouldn't know what else they would have peppered in. It was just such a hard movie to create a trailer around and to market. In my opinion, I thought... I don't think they did any more with the trailer because it would have given away much more than that scene. But I totally agree. It's too bad that we had to see it over and over again.
Right? It's like, oh, because by the time you see it, you're like, oh, yeah, whatever.
Yeah.
Another negative, and I just thought about it, was, okay, even though it banked $58 million and was number one this weekend at the box office, it still is one of Marvel's lowest revenue movies.
Yeah.
And I'm like, why?
In my opinion, it was just so hard to market, to be honest with you. And I think the release date, and this is just me kind of like saying whatever, I'm not an expert here, but the release date was so close to the last Avengers movie.
Yeah.
So they're pumping up the Avengers film, and then that comes out, and then kind of very, very quiet marketing around Ant-Man.
Off the heels of Comic-Con as well.
Yeah.
Which they didn't really market Ant-Man very much at Comic-Con. It was like, it's right there. It's
right
there, you know?
So I think it was a weak marketing campaign, and I don't blame them. I think it was a really hard film to market. Whereas, like Ant-Man, like we're saying, is a very human character in Scott Lang and Hank Pym, but somebody like Thor or Iron Man, where they're super rich and they have all this tech and stuff, like that's kind of something you can play off of, and you have people like Robert Downey Jr., who's like going to go crazy about the film. And there are some really good interviews with Michael Douglas and with Paul Rudd, but I don't think they went a full blown campaign like they did with everything else.
Yeah.
It's too bad because the movie's great.
It's a really good movie. It's like an underdog. I think I always end up rooting for the underdog anyway, but I think that with a little bit of word of mouth, this movie is going to catch a really big wave, in the aftermath of that. So, and any star rating?
Yes. I would give it a 4.8.
Oh my God.
Out of 5.
I was going to say 4.5.
Oh, yay.
Yeah. I didn't know you can do the
I don't know.
the other 0.5 stuff. But you know what? I'll go with you. I think it's really good. I would give it a 5, but I wasn't, I don't know. There's something lacking in that. I don't know what it is. It has to be like just out of blowing my mind, like Lord of the Rings style movie for a 5.
Right.
But yes, I agree. It was really good. And you guys, let us know what you thought because we want to know. And so you comment below. You go ahead and give us I was going to say rating, but you don't really rate here, huh? So you do a thumbs up. You do click subscribe.
4.8.
And then you do 4.8. And then you also tell a friend a day.
Yeah.
And you also, that stuff. And in the meantime, you guys, you can let us know also what movies you want us to review. And also we have a weekly show called Speak Nerdy to Me where we talk about all of our week in review geek stuff that we like to talk about. So join us there. And in the meantime, where can people follow you?
You guys can follow me at Ann Campea on Instagram, Twitter, and even find me on Facebook.
Yeah, you can find her on Facebook.
Ooh.
And then you can find me right here on Ann Campea. At Kaori everywhere and anywhere. And you can follow both of us at Team Amasian on Instagram as well as Twitter. And right there, teamamasian.com. We will have some new photos for you. So tell a friend. And thank you guys for joining us. And we'll catch you guys very soon for some more of us.
Bye.